Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Memes of the Week. The best thing you can do for this channel is smash the like button on this video like it's a pre-transition Ellen page, so it reaches a wider audience. And now on with the memes. Number 1, imagine the horror of getting a Hummer from Laura Loomer. And no, I'm not talking about the type you drive. She looks like absolute Bogdanov nightmare fuel here. I know it's an edited image, but it's not far from reality. I don't know about you, but for me it would be the equivalent of getting a BJ from Jigsaw. Loomer was never a looker, but at least when she was young, she was still somewhat tolerable to the eyes. I don't know why Trump even smashed this. Up next, and speaking of Trump, this woman with a Trump tattoo on her forehead is asking for donations to get it removed. She needs MAGA tattoo removal. It's really hard to tell if this is a real or fake story. These days it could go either way. And if you're thinking of sending her money, don't, because you shouldn't pay for a woman's poor decisions. But if it is real, I hope she got a donation in the first place from Trump's campaign to put it up there. Number 3, it's getting bad out there. 45% of Gen Z guys have never asked a girl out in real life. I've spoken to a few Gen Z guys and girls like them and hover around them, and they know the girls are interested. But the guys still won't ask them out. It's really strange when even rejection isn't a possibility. Is it because they don't have very much testosterone? How about because they rush home to get off to corn? Our society is more sexualized than ever, yet men are having less sex than ever before. Moving on, some people say that women think that men want the woman on the left instead of the woman on the right. But the science says that alpha males prefer women with makeup while the average guys don't. So clearly women are putting on the fake up on for Chad. Plus they also put it on for other women to make them feel bad as part of intersexual competition. Women are all competing for the same 5% of men, so of course they have to try and cater to them. Number 5, how's this for a whole new level of gold diggery? Terrell Owens' ex-wife filed for divorce 72 hours after their marriage and demanded alimony because she was accustomed to a high-end lifestyle. I guess all she really wanted was the party and his money. She's not going to get the money, but she's going to get attention for doing this to him. That's her consolation prize. The judge denied alimony in this case, though. The marriage should have just been annulled. Up next, as Canada becomes poor and economically incompetent, Canadians increasingly vote for the NDP Socialist Party and the Liberal Party while the popularity of the Conservative Party is actually fading. Even Elon Musk says that Canada's cooked. Here's the real problem. It's Boomer and Gen X women voting for the left. And why am I not surprised? And since they outnumber men for that demographic, they'll always get more votes and win. Not to mention the Boomers are also the biggest generation. Number 7, if you think Canada is bad, then remember that Sweden isn't all that much better, where a bunch of classmates raped a girl but weren't expelled, because they're victims too, according to the principal. This is a fine example of judicial activism at its finest. Female judges often side with criminals because of hybristophilia. Many get off on the fact that those men are also violent, therefore they can't be unbiased. Moving on, speaking of racism, Seattle Public Schools shut down their gifted program for students because it's oversaturated by white and Asian kids. The talented must be held back to make the incompetent feel better about themselves so they don't feel learned helplessness, I suppose. This just proves the West is no longer about equality and equal opportunity, but has now instead become about equity and trying to make everyone equally as incompetent. Number 9, the last few months I've been watching the Strait of Hormuz open, close, and reopen over and over again. And the world isn't getting enough fuel and fertilizer and prices keep on spiking. The last 3 times there was an oil shock this bad, there was a recession every time. And a major one where the markets crashed at least 20 to 30% eventually. But this time the markets are pumping because people seem to have lost their minds. Up next, things have gone so bad in the markets that it's all about what Donald Trump says in the short term more than anything else. I'm thinking that Trump is sabotaging the world economy and making it economically viable for American oil companies to start producing Venezuelan oil, and then forcing the rest of the world to buy it using US dollars and making a profit with it. If the world doesn't want to buy oil in dollars, then fine. America will produce Venezuelan oil and sell it to them in American dollars regardless of if they want it or not. Number 11, 67% of French people believe that anti-white racism is a real problem in France. Yet I bet nothing will be done about it. The other 33% are either migrants or unhinged leftists. So it's actually 100% of the French that think it's a problem. And you know, it's probably the same in many other parts of the West too. Hopefully the French will fight back at some point. Let's hope there's a little bit of Napoleon left in them. Why is it that people who hate white people end up moving to white countries. Moving on, here's a picture of the typical person creating an email address back in the 90s, not realizing they'd still be using it today. The person taking this picture is their boomer parent, and their parent still doesn't know how to use email or a computer properly. I'm still using an old email address from Hotmail, even though Hotmail doesn't technically exist anymore. We all need a place to send our spam to, and this is it these days. Number 13, Machiavelli is credited as saying to never play fair in a game where others cheat. That's good advice, but my favorite thing to do is beat the cheaters by playing fair. It's challenging and they lose their minds when you win, and then they claim you're the one that's cheating, and then end up changing the rules so you can't win again with the loophole you used. I don't know how valid Machiavelli's advice is, because after all, he lost all of his power. Up next, check out Heidi Klum and her daughter. Hopefully I pronounced her name correctly. Remember guys, that a whore always makes sure that her daughter follows in her footsteps. Looks like she's grooming her daughter quite well for a future career on OF. That is until AI takes it all away. Here she is with her daughter while young, and will you just look at her other kid, the African? No wonder she's behaving in such a trashy way, posing that way with her daughter. Number 15, here's a picture of Michael Jackson in 1978. He never would have become famous if he continued to look like this and didn't do his first round of plastic surgeries back in the early 80s. People care the most about looks when it comes to the music business. I see tons of talented musicians make better music as they get older, but their fans were there only because of their youth and beauty. Jackson had amazing music and dancing as well as unique plastic surgery looks in the early 80s. That combination made him a legend. Moving on, people are saying that this is what woke women look like when they aren't the center of attention. It's not just the ones in these jokes, but all of them. And as AI and the internet takes more and more of their attention away in the future, they'll do more unhinged things like this. This is just a taste of the desperation to come. The one on the left reminds you of those Star Trek characters that had half their face painted white and the other half black. Number 17, if you don't feel old yet, then this should make you feel that way. Gen Z doesn't learn how to write cursive anymore, and maybe in the future Gen X and Millennials can use this to keep secrets. If you think this is bad, then Gen Alpha doesn't even know how to type on a computer keyboard. They use voice activation to do searches on their devices and talk to AI like it's their best friend. Apparently the only kids that can write cursive these days are Cuban refugees. Up next, here's the difference in safety between 2016, when the then mayor of London, Boris Johnson, rode his bike to work on the left, versus Sadiq Khan on the right in his armored SUV. And Khan made the outlandish claim that London is safer today than it was 10 years ago. Once again, I no longer know what to believe because the propaganda can be spun the other way as well. One thing's for sure though, London is poor and less safe. That I know for a fact. Number 19, Germany has gone nuts. First, they require men 18 to 45 to get permission from the government if they want to leave the country for longer than a month or two. And now they want to block people from buying homes if they have the wrong political views. This is crazy on so many levels. What's next? Arresting people for social media posts. Oh wait, they're already doing that. My bad. Is this Weimar 2.0 or something far worse? Moving on, it looks like science has now confirmed that the term, "we need to talk," coming from a woman's mouth is what raises a man's cortisol higher than a near-death experience. We don't need science to tell us that though. It's probably the same feeling a dog goes through when someone asks the question, "who did this?" and doggo then avoids eye contact because of guilt. The perfect thing to say to a woman when she says this is to say, "yes, we do." That way her cortisol level will rise as well. Number 21, meanwhile in the sad state of Canada, the Toronto Star newspaper is being sued because it failed to report that Justin Skippy Trudeau, according to the Mounted Police, was watching kitty corn. I don't think anyone is surprised that he's a deviant. I think we're all surprised he wasn't arrested for it when the police first found out. This should destroy what little faith Canadians have in their justice system. I wouldn't be surprised if he was also visiting Epstein's Island too. Up next, and speaking of Canada, Toronto's becoming a boomer wasteland where no one can afford to have or raise kids, and their dog-crate condo smaller than a shoebox. There are now 5,000 fewer kids in city schools, and they had to lay off almost 300 teachers. Plus, the people who have kids are deciding to leave for the better quality of life elsewhere, instead of being surrounded by unending seas of Jeets. There also seems to be a lot of competition from private schools in the area. Number 23, this physics teacher makes $80,000 a month off of OF, and resigns after students discover her profile. More likely she was fired because the school board couldn't deal with the backlash from parents. I was hoping she was a chemistry teacher instead, so I could say that she must have a lot of chemistry with her students. At least this one didn't abuse her kids. and says she was just exploiting Sims for a change. I would pay not to look at her though. Moving on, can you identify what's wrong with this picture? Yes, the woman needs to have more kids. Then again, for all I know, there could be triplets in her baby oven. Another thing that's wrong with this picture is her hair. She's got them dreads. That baby also has 3 legs from all the radioactive baby formula that it's been ingesting. Feminists would also say what's wrong with this picture is that the guy on the couch needs to keep his swing in his pants. Number 25 on the last one, which one of these relationships will end up working out? The first will only last a few years, as he uses her as target practice and then dumps her. The second relationship could last for a few decades depending on his wealth and health, as well as if he can keep her sexually satisfied. What I want to know is why that woman looks like she's barely aged. She should be fatter and wrinklier on the left. So that's it for another Memes of the Week. Please give this video a like to push it up in the algorithm and so new viewers can find it. If you enjoy this series and want me to keep making it, then donate at the PayPal Subscribe Star links. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.